Hello everyone and welcome back to Gregtech New Horizons, where we have been flying through the LV chapter. Hopefully we can secure ourselves in MV today. Medium voltage. So we set up some oil collection last episode, which is very far down at this point. We need to do some basic maintenance on this thing, give it a new fluid tank, and probably refill the batteries. Actually the batteries seem okay. Oh yeah, and this thing, the essence, we had some Thaumcraft company. Nothing we couldn't handle though. Our base has also received some pretty big aesthetic and organisation upgrades. We completely redesigned most of this place, and using the oil we collected from the pump, we set up the beginnings of our oil refinement process. We are turning the oil into light fuel, and the light fuel we're going to use to power our base. And we're going to need it today. To get into MV, we need a significant amount of aluminium, and the only way we can get that is through the blast furnace. And for the blast furnace, we need power, and for power, we need the blast furnace. So we're in a chicken and egg situation here. And you know what? We should actually scan this essence. We should be able to learn some things from it. Yeah, I think that unlocked Aurum, the last thing we were missing here. Anyways, the beginning of this episode is not really going to be about Thaumcraft. We need to focus on our situation here with power. So looking through these chests, it may not look like we're kind of short on resources, but this is Gregtech, and we're kind of short on resources. I mean, we have a decent amount of ore here, just not the things we need. Just kind of typical, right? So we're going to start off here with a bit of resource collection. Let's do this. Before we started this massive round of resource collection though, I wanted to make sure we started the process of cooking aluminium in the blast furnace. I rigged up just a temporary solution just to get this thing running, implementing our batteries before the power supply of the EBF. And we actually have a decent amount of aluminium gravel, which is actually more efficient if we pulverize first, which gives us 2 crushed per gravel. We can then forge hammer and wash for the clean dust. However, we can't actually just put this straight in the blast furnace. This is actually an HV recipe and our EBF is MV. Instead, we have to put it through the Tinker's smeltery and then cast it out as raw ingots. However, it was apparent that we were almost out of lava, so we took a quick trip into the nether, refilled our tanks at a nearby lava supply, and after a fairly uneventful trip, we went back to the base, processed down all the aluminium. Once the EBF was started, we could begin the process of resource collection. Alright everyone, I think we're ready to progress here. It has been hours and hours and hours. I was even doing some Thaumcraft research while waiting on this blast furnace, and one thing is becoming very apparent here. The steam production that we have is simply not up to the task. We need to switch over to our diesel system. So the solution comes in the form of more LV circuits here. Actually, we don't have enough vacuum tubes again. We should be able to get at least half a stack though, or just over. So to make this switch over to diesel, what do we need to get here? Well, we're short an advanced mixer. We're short an MV distillery, and at least 1 MV combustion generator. And we still don't have the aluminium available for this thing. So here is what we're going to do. We're going to make 4 combustion generators at LV. I think we're just short the pistons. Fortunately, we do have the steel reserves to pull this off. And we are also going to start to move the blast furnace to a more permanent and appropriate location. Hopefully we can get this done this week. Oh, look how slow this is. And we're done. I put it here on the west side of our factory. I hooked it up with our new combustion generators here. These things are still LV combustion generators, so we still have the LV energy inputs on the blast furnace. So what we have here is a spare fluid tank, which supplies the fluid into this potent pipe. That distributes among all the combustion generators. The combustion generators output to the bottom and the left hand side into this cable. The cable feeds a battery buffer, and the battery buffer feeds the energy hatches on the blast furnace. It's effectively the same system that we had for steam, except instead of steam, we're burning light fuel. And the ultimate goal is to burn diesel, right? But we don't have the mixer, which is going to sit right here to make diesel. So we're just taking the intermediate step right now, light fuel, which can still give us a cool 300,000 EU per cell. Still much better than the steam that we were using previously. However, this thing has problems, again. And the last time we ran into this, we had the easy tape solution. That FAL84, whatever it was called, the big long name. We don't really have that option anymore. So we're going to need to make a toolbox. And logically, we're going to need some tools to go inside our toolbox, starting with the soldering iron. 62 pages of recipes. I think the main difference here is the durability. Let's see, what is the best option for us at this point? You know, it's probably something like Damascus steel, but I think we're just going to go for regular steel here. Oh, we need a new battery. And that means we need lithium, and that was the whole reason actually I went out to mine for salt. I did pick up a decent amount of lepidolite, which we should have centrifuged by now. Yeah, we do have some extra lithium right here. All we need is 2 dust to make a battery. And actually, now that we have this extra space, we can put the missing LV machines here. And with the battery, we can make our soldering iron. And to go along with this tool, we also need some soldering alloy. And the best material I think to use is the fine wire. So we make it into wires first, and then again wire mill into fine wire. And this is the material it will consume to perform maintenance. Along with the charge inside the tool itself, which we can charge inside a machine or a battery buffer. Any tool that you have that's electric has to be charged within the same voltage tier as the battery you craft it with. So because we crafted with an LV battery, it has to be in an LV machine or LV battery buffer. Hold on, how is our circuits doing right now? Okay, we got an extra 38 here. Let's start to craft our MV circuits, which I think is LV's good circuit boards. Oh, I don't remember the rest. That's right, copper wire, which we have made up here. Copper wire and diodes. And diodes, if you'll remember, that was that funny dust with gallium and arsenic. Instead of going through that whole process, we have the coins. And we are totally going to use the quest book here to just simply buy 8 diodes at a time. Nice. That is so free. It is on a timer though, so we have 40 minutes before we can buy it again. I'm going to buy it every 40 minutes, basically, until we run out of coins. We have a decent amount of coins here, and actually all of these yellow ones we can turn into the green coins. Just in the assembler, I think? Yeah. Anyways, let's start making some more MV circuits. Oh yeah, and I did hear that one of the recent changes is that you can actually put solder and alloy inside the toolbox. Oh wow, that's such a tiny change, but it makes all... Oh my goodness. Whoever implemented that, I absolutely love it. And which machine did I charge our tool in here? I think it was this one, yeah. That is also our quest. Along with the solder and iron, we also need a screwdriver, a file. I think we'll make brand new tools for this, since it does consume durability every time you repair the blast furnace. A soft mallet, a hammer, which is not ideal to be made out of iron, but we're kind of out of diamonds right now. We also need a crowbar, which we have, and there's 2 missing here. What are we missing? A wrench? Yeah, a wrench and a saw. And that should complete our full GT toolset now. So now when we go to the maintenance hatch, we can shift right click, just right click, and I think that should have cleared all of the maintenance. Perfect, awesome. And now we shouldn't have to worry about the steam, and we can cook the rest of this aluminium right here. Excellent. We do have to watch our supply of light fuel. We don't want to burn too much of this since we want to turn it into diesel. The supply that we have should be enough to cook us the rest of the aluminium though. And also one more thing, that did use up fine solder and alloy wire, right? Yeah, as well as 10,000 EU. Wow, that is expensive. And I assume durability on the rest of these tools also. Alright, this is the moment we've been waiting for. Let's get into MV here, starting with electric motors. We have enough for 8, but I think we need the extra rods. And a request, I was waiting for that. We'll start off by grabbing the MV mixer. Oh wow, we have enough for 3, we're only going to make 1. I don't know if we've unlocked the quest for this, it looks like we have. Next, let's grab the advanced distillery. We need the MV pump. We need some steel fluid pipes, we can craft this. That's our wrench broken. There is our first MV pump quest. There we go. And the advanced distillery. And finally, the combustion generator, which does need our pistons. This is probably also going to be a quest. And I think we're going to be short 2 rods here. Yeah. The rods I've been trying to make in the lathe since we get tiny dusts back, or small dusts, sorry. And we're able to make up quite a lot of our material back from doing this, even though it is very, very slow. Yeah, there's the second piston, and our advanced combustion generator. Nice. Which is a quest. Okay, before we go hooking anything up, let's claim our quest rewards. You guys got very annoyed last episode. And rightly so. Okay, we got 4 MV bags. Redstone torches. If you guys saw the first season, you'll know what that is. Not great. Actually, it did give us some extra motors there. 10 motors for free. That is great, actually. And it also gave us some extra bolts here. Made of what exactly? Manulin? Wow, these are actually really good. Those are amazing. It's exactly the same, except that instead of alumite, it's manulin on the bolt. That's awesome. The only thing is it doesn't have mending, or does it? It does. It has auto repair and sharpness. And durability. Oh my goodness, that is an amazing quest reward. Oh, that reload speed is also nice. Okay, I'm happy about that. Alright, so we want to do a little switcheroo here. LV to MV distillery. And the mixer will go right here. Output to the right hand side. Hook up some cable on the back. We have to be extremely careful here. We do not want these cables to touch. This is LV energy, this is MV energy. We want the mixer and the distillery to be powered by this copper cable. Then we can take our advanced combustion generator and plug it into this copper line. Yeah, around here. If things explode here, it's not my fault. So now if we haven't messed anything up, the oil sands converts into heavy oil. The heavy oil is going to be automatically output to the distillery. The MV distillery is going to distill on circuit 1. Does need a muffler upgrade though. That is going to output its contents to the left, into the fluid tank to be filled into cells. Then we need a conveyor module to send it down onto this pipe. Oh, already has one. Goes into the chemical reactor, gets mixed with hydrogen to give us heavy fuel. The chemical reactor is going to send its contents into this small tin item pipe, which is going to connect to our new MV mixer. Item auto output to the right hand side, same on this one here for the light fuel. So now light fuel and heavy fuel converge into a mixer, hopefully. And we mix into diesel, awesome. And the diesel can go automatically output to the right in this fluid tank. And the cells drop their contents into fluid form. The cells end up as empty cells, which need to be refilled back into these two fluid tanks right here. And actually we don't need this section of pipe right here. All we need to do is connect this up and give it a conveyor module. That should export the empty fluid cells back into the tanks to be filled with the sulfuric light fuel and sulfuric heavy fuel. And that again will be passed to the chemical reactor, passed to the mixer, passed to the tank, where all of our diesel will be buffered right here. Great success. All we need to worry about is keeping this full with oil and oil sands. And I guess keeping this combustion generator full, but I guess we can now use diesel, or fuel as it's also called. It's actually interchangeable, it's the exact same thing. I don't know why it's called differently here. But yeah, some of the details about the power system here, we're using 2x copper cable, which also does have cable loss, but it seems to be okay with this short amount of distance. And we're still using the steam turbines and the battery system to power all of the LV machines on the line. So yeah, now that we have automated diesel, mostly automated diesel, we are going to use this to start powering all of the MV machinery that we're going to need. There is an argument to be made that we should have actually prioritized the MV electrolyzer, since the MV electrolyzer will allow us to get more aluminium. I think this is our last 23 that we have. Maybe unless there's some in the smeltery still. Yeah, we have another 13 ingots here. However, unless we wanted to go out and gather some more aluminium gravel, which I'm not really up for, without the electrolyzer we can't really get our hands on any more aluminium. We're short silver wire, we should be able to get that. So many materials here we need, it's crazy. We should have some silver for sure. And apparently our door is gone, which could have been dangerous. I don't know how long it was unblocked for. I just blocked this up just before I finished the diesel setup. This place is still so dangerous. Yeah, look at this. Yeah, the two biggest what is that thing? Protection 4 Unbreaking 3 golden leggings. Okay, sure. The two biggest things that we have to keep producing is steel, which seems to be going strong here. And just because we have our electric blast furnace doesn't mean these things are now obsolete. Those will be running for quite a while longer, at least until we have a few more blast furnaces. Yeah, the two biggest things is steel and aluminium. And with our electrolyzer here, we should be able to do that. Quest? Quest. You know, we don't really have a way to power this thing, actually. So we're actually going to immediately borrow this combustion generator. Yeah. Oh, back to borrowing setups again. Yeah, we can put this combustion generator right here. Make sure it's not touching this cable on the electrolyzer. And the fact that we're in a clay-filled biome underground, so we've dug out a lot of clay, and I haven't voided any of it. Look at this. We have stacks on stacks of this stuff. We can pulverize it all through the steam grinders. I'm going to do way more than this. This should give us clay dust. And the clay dust we can electrolyze at MV to give us something called alumina dust, along with lithium, sodium, silicon dioxide, and water. And the alumina we can cook straight into aluminium ingots. So yeah, I'm going to keep this electrolyzer going as much as I possibly can over the next couple hours here. We do also need a fluid trash can. How difficult is this? It's doable for sure. And in the meantime, we are going to need some space for our MV machinery, right? I don't really want to stick it in the corner either, because that's not really how we roll here. So in that case, I think it's time that we expand the base. Ready for MV. Oh yeah. If that didn't get you hyped for MV, I don't know what will. Alright everyone, check this out. That was a long night of building, but I think we've got this to a point where we can progress in MV, and potentially also HV on this opposite side. There's still quite a bit to do in this room, but we've kind of run out of blocks, so I think this is an appropriate stopping point. And you know, I tried to carry over the same theme, which I think works very well. And the important thing we should ask ourselves at this point is, are we happy with this? Because if you'll recall last episode, it's a good idea to start changing things early on. So is there any teething problems as we expand with this? Well, the one thing I will point out is that wall over there. It doesn't really work out so well because of this half slab. This is a vertical slab actually, which we've been using to support the walls. We really have to figure that out actually. That is a very big problem in this design. But I mean, other than that, I think everything else works very, very well here. I tried to keep the ceiling interesting and not all just one level. And assuming all of this was built correctly, it should be the same on both sides. I'm not sure if we're going to wrap it all the way around yet. I'm kind of reluctant to do that because I think that's going to be too much space, honestly. And we also want to vary up the room design, right? We don't want everything in the same pattern. But yeah, this should be enough space for MV and potentially HV, at least the beginnings of HV. So another idea I actually had, let's start making up some more potent. One of the other ideas I had when building this, actually, it just came to me, is that we could actually lower this section. I was going to keep it all one level. I think it would be really awesome if we had like a staircase going down here on both sides, and then we could actually go underneath our storage room. And we could also potentially go off to the left-hand side, and this would ultimately be how we enter the valley. Yeah, off in a westerly direction. So we could go underneath and potentially also make this part here an exit, like dig all this out. I don't know, it's just some idea. If you guys have any ideas after seeing this, maybe you're inspired and you have some instant ideas, let me know in the comments. I definitely tried to read them all. I also did try to keep the EBF running as much as I possibly could. How much aluminium? Oh my goodness. Okay, that's a bit of aluminium. It's been longer than I thought. Wow. Okay, let's start crafting some of this. We'll make some rods and we'll make some plating. We'll make like a stack of plates. Actually, let's do 2 stacks of plates. I think it's also helpful for both you and I to go through this MV chapter. Let's try and orient ourselves and set some goals for the next couple of episodes. The first thing I'd like to get today is the extrusion machine, the extruder, and I would also like to get the MV battery buffer and set us up some MV lithium batteries, hopefully. But there's also a handful of other nice things in MV. We get access to the automatic miner. We also get the beginnings of Ender IO. There's a couple of miscellaneous things up the top here. On the left here is farming and a lot of byproducts that you can get from that. I think mainly this leads into biodiesel, which is not a route we're going to go down since we have regular diesel. And then on the bottom side is all of the circuits for MV and also leads us into the HV circuits, these advanced circuits. And then finally onto stainless steel, which will unlock HV, the next chapter. Also, we do have one more MV bag. Lithium dust. We are now swimming in lithium dust though, look at this. Because of the electrolysis of clay dust. So I actually just realized to get the batteries that we need for MV, we are going to need polyethylene, and there's not really any two ways about it. Polyethylene is the first real complex chemical line in GTNH, or really any Gregtech pack for that matter. And I think we're going to pivot for the next half of this episode actually. We are going to make something called the simple washer. Yeah, the simple washer. So here is the plan. I noticed while I was doing resource collection at the start of the episode, this chest was ending up very full, and in fact it still is. We don't really have an easy way to turn crushed redstone into regular dust. Crushed is what you get when you macerate the ore, What we had to do previously was put it in the forge hammer here, which gave us impure. And the impure dust we could either centrifuge, which takes a million years, or we could wash in a cauldron. But that's not really ideal, right? Instead, what we can do is use the simple washer, which obviously does need a source of water. We've made a new water tank here. This thing we can switch out as soon as we hit HV, but for now it's really our only solution. Before that, it's going to go into a forge hammer. We're going to make our first one at LV here. Yeah, we have everything. Forge hammer at LV. And this will actually go before the simple washer in the ore processing chain. So it's going to go redstone ore into the grinders, which turns it into crushed. Through the forge hammer turns it into impure, and then through the simple washer turns it into regular redstone. So other than the water for the simple washer, we also need a way to power the forge hammer and power the simple washer. And we could do this the easy way, but we're going to go the more difficult way. We actually are going to make this MV extruder after all. Quest? Oh, we're missing all of the extruder shapes, look at all of them here. And all of these have to be made from aluminium brass and then cast in the smeltery. Oh my goodness, that's so much steel. You know what, we're only going to get the essentials right now. We're going to pick up the rotor shape. I think I'll do the rest between episodes here. Let's cast this in steel. We need some more blank casts to be able to craft with. Yeah, we're going to go for the rotor and the small pipe today. We are going to borrow our combustion generator once again. And the extruder is going to sit right here until we find a more permanent location. And the first recipe we're going to run is for 2 Tumbega rotors. My goodness, that is loud. There isn't really a need to do this since we can make Tumbega rotors the manual way in the assembler. And rotors actually are more efficient in the fluid solidifier than it is in the extruder. Oftentimes in Gregtech you do have multiple recipes like this, and it works out to like 0.2 ingots cheaper if you do it in the fluid solidifier, but the only catch with this is normally you need an MV fluid extractor to melt down the metal, and you normally have to make more than one at once. I think the ratio is like 17 ingots to 4 rotors, whereas doing it in the extruder, 4 rotors would be 20 ingots. We need some more random stuff here for lead wire and red alloy cable. And we're going to go backwards in technology here and make the simple steam turbine. This is a ULV steam turbine, 1 tier below the LV tier, and it's generally not something that you use too often. Oh, we're a few components short here. And sure, we could have used the transformer from LV to ULV. I'm pretty sure those exist. But we are going to slowly start using less and less steam around the base, so I mean, why not use it for ore processing? It's still going to be there, right? All we need is the power of the sun. We're going to need an LV steam turbine also. So now all we have to do is hook everything together, build in buffers where we can, and plug in the steam and the water line from the water tank. I have a feeling our wrench isn't going to last here, it's so close to breaking. There's no way we finish this. And we have 2 steam grinders here, right? The first one is going to stay as is. The second one, though, we're going to use for this process, this new process, and it's actually going to output to the backside. Actually, let's do the top middle. And from there, we can send it into the new processing line, which is going to look something like this. So the system is currently processing the huge backlog of redstone that we have. And by the way, if you're wondering how we have so much of this, every ore gives you 10 crushed. So it's definitely worth making steam grinders for things like redstone. So once the grinder processes the crushed, it puts it on this tin item pipe, and that goes into the diamond chest. From the diamond chest, we have a conveyor module on the forge hammer. The forge hammer crushes it into impure. That is automatically sent to the chest below it, pulled in by the simple washer via another conveyor module. And the simple washer, as you can see here, this thing is very fast, especially for a ULV machine. The downside to doing it this way with a simple washer is we don't get any of the extra byproducts we normally would get. And I also probably should mention, this is definitely not the most optimal way to process a lot of these ores. And there's no such thing as a one-size-fits-all ore processing system in GTNH. Many of the materials we have to specialize in how we process. But doing it this way, it's unified, and it's easy when we go mining just to put everything in this chest. Or this chest, I guess. At least for the majority of the resources. And it should all... I can't jump up here. It should also allow us to process some of this backlog. These are impure dust that we got from small ores when we're mining. And there's actually quite a lot of ore here still to be processed. A lot of it, though, we don't actually need at this stage. Anyways, I think with that, it's also a good point to wrap up this episode. I would say we got into MV today. We got a few MV machines, we got our diesel set up here. We got our blast furnace operational for aluminium. And of course we made an expansion onto our base again. Hopefully this should last us for the foreseeable future. And any more expansion hopefully will be into the new part of this valley. However, we do have a couple of extra projects that we need to take on before we can even do that. I do have plans for a farming district, a power facility, a dedicated power facility eventually, and we're also going to need a place for Thaumcraft and potentially Botania as well. So yeah, once again, if you have any suggestions, I would love to hear them in the comments. But that is going to do us for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode of Gregtech New Horizons.